Is there any video that you've made or something you've said in the past that you think is a mistake at this point, or that you've sort of, maybe even it's just the nature of your content, you wish that you went down a certain rabbit hole sooner or capitalized on something, like a missed opportunity?
A missed opportunity? Yes. Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
Oh, spill the beans.
So missed. So missed. About
going on this podcast sooner. Sorry. Hello, and welcome to Getting It,
the conversation where we try to understand life just that little bit more.
My name's Dan.
And my name is Saban.
And we're both medical students based in London.
And in this episode, we welcome Nasir Kharma, also known as Kharma Medic, to Getting It, in part one of this two-part series. We reflect on the development and growth of his YouTube channel, how he balances having an online presence alongside his studies as a medical student, as well as some insights into his thoughts and aspirations for the future.
Hello, Saban.
Hello, Dan.
How are you doing today?
I am very well, thank you. And I mean, today we should just probably cut to the chase and skip the preamble. So I'll just go straight into introducing our guest, who is Nasir Kharma. He's probably most well known for his pretty successful YouTube channel, Kharma Medic, which is sitting at around 600 or just over 600,000 subscribers at the time of this recording in only like 3-ish years, if I'm not mistaken. So pretty good growth overall. So yeah.
We came to meet Kharma or Nasir by we're living in the same flat at the moment because we're both on the same location for our peripheral placements. So yeah, if you've seen any of his recent videos, I think he's mentioned it a few times. So yeah, that's where we are at the moment. And yeah, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for that lovely intro, guys. Yeah. I'm happy to be here. I'm really excited to see how this goes.
Yeah, and I remember you saying that it's, I think, the first podcast you've been on.
Yeah, first podcast.
Yeah, so it's a very big honor for us, and yeah, we'll just see how it goes.
Yeah, so in general, just to kind of start things off, can you just kind of give like your elevator pitch in terms of your like bio, who you are, where you're from, your kind of journey into YouTube and med school, and just all of that in general?
Yeah, sure. So hi, my name is Nasir. I'm currently 25 years old. And basically my story, I think, is that like I'm quite an international person. I was born in Vancouver, and then I moved to Greece, which is where I spent almost all of my life until I was 18 years old. I went to Canada to do my undergraduate degree, and now I'm studying medicine in the UK. So I feel like I've been able to experience a lot of different cultures, a lot of different universities, which is great. I feel like it's something that's like made me who I am. And then my journey into YouTube started because I got rejected from medical school the first time that I applied when I was in Greece applying to medical schools in the UK. And then the second time around that I was applying, I applied to both Canada and the UK. And by then I felt like I had gamed the system. I felt like I knew exactly what people wanted for their applications and how you could get accepted into medical school. So I said, let me help some people out. Let me give back. And that's how it started.
Okay, so when you first made the channel, it was, so Saban was saying it was about 3 years ago, is that right?
I think, yeah, two and a half.
Okay.
Almost 2 years, yeah.
And by that point, had you started at King's?
No. Oh, wait. No, sorry. Yes, I had started at King's.
Okay, so were you like a fresher, just new to the university? And
it was towards the end of my first year.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Towards the end of my first year.
And so the initial aim of the channel, what you saw for the channel was going to be making videos, giving advice to people who sort of wanted to get in to med school.
Yeah, so it started specifically with the UCAT because when I wrote the UCAT as an adult for the second time, I walked out of that exam and I was like, I smashed it. I was like, I had killed this exam.
Oh.
And, you know, in my preparation that I did 3 weeks of prep, 4 hours a day. And I felt like I had studied the exam so well that I knew like what could help other people and what people should focus on and what they shouldn't spend so much time on. And so I wanted to start there. I was like, that's the place I can start, give back on the UCAT tips specifically.
And then now looking back at the growth that you've had, and it's very relative, it's been very quick. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm sure in some ways you probably didn't expect to grow this quickly at all.
In all ways.
So in all ways, just completely didn't expect to be so popular and to grow so successfully. At this point now, would you say that the identity of the channel is different from when you started? Because obviously you make a lot of different videos now. You've got a bigger following. So in what way now would you describe your channel compared to then?
So I think towards the beginning, I was very focused on strictly educational content. And even though at the time, like once I started getting 100 subscribers, 200 subscribers, I started getting a bit excited and I was like, oh, I can share more aspects of my life. But I knew that nobody would care. And I think this is something really important. Like when you're starting to build a platform, when you're like growing on any social media thing, people don't yet care about you, like who you are as a person, your values, your identity, your personality. What people care about when you're really small and when you're first growing is an exchange of value. You want to be providing some sort of value to whoever's watching your video. Like once they watch your video, they need to have gained something, right? And I think that's what keeps people coming back for more. At the beginning, no one's really attached to your personality. They're not attached to your like mannerisms or your specific tendencies or whatever. And so over time, as I grew more and more, I started like sprinkling in more lifestyle content, more personal content, things about me, who I am as a person, as opposed to giving strictly educational content. And so now I think, I like rambled on from your question. The content has evolved to be a little bit more lifestyle things as well. So that includes medical school vlogs, that includes me traveling and just sharing like things that I'm really passionate about, like coffee, for example. Pretty much like whatever I feel like.
Yeah, I think I saw that in your Instagram bio. It's like I'm grinding.
Yeah, grinding YouTube and coffee. I'm so proud of that line.
Yeah, that is really good.
Really
So for people who don't know who you are and they're seeing your Instagram, that's the first thing they're going to know about you, is that your coffee passion.
I grind YouTube and coffee beans. Yeah, that's what it is.
And what do you think about that, Saban, as well? Having a history of you making YouTube videos as well in the past and stuff. Do you agree about the idea of when you're starting off, it's about the content, especially, and people not really necessarily caring who you are as a person until maybe later on when they get to know you better. Is that a fair description?
Yes. The thing is that back when I was doing YouTube, it was a very different place in terms of the way YouTube worked and stuff. So I mostly did stuff in the like tutorial kind of area, in video editing or visual effects and stuff. So that was a kind of niche. But again, I was providing value in terms of teaching what I knew. Even though I was like 13, 14, 15 years old, I was just making videos on how to do a particular effect or video editing technique and just share it to the world, basically, and that kind of community. And yeah, I never really got into the stage where I started kind of putting my lifestyle into it. But my kind of growth took off when I was, when I kind of actually stopped doing YouTube, but then just because the value was providing in some of the videos, it just kind of shot up. So that is probably the area you need to kind of at least start off with, is providing value in some way. And then once you kind of get bigger, say you're Peter McKinnon or someone, no one really cares what you do. You can just kind of upload anything and they'll watch it. You
can put anything you want, and people will watch it. I should add a small caveat that the advice that I was saying, where you have to provide value first, I think is very relevant in today's day and age, where a lot of areas are highly saturated. So like 10 years ago, like anyone making videos about their life had like huge value to it, just from entertainment value, right? If nothing else. But I think now it's harder and harder to differentiate yourself. And so being able to provide value to people who are watching your videos is a good way to have them come back.
And at this point, with your following, what proportion of people who are watching your videos? So at the start, you'd say that people who are watching your videos were very interested to learn from the content you were telling them about how to get into medical school. So I'm guessing it's a lot of hopefuls for medical school, for example. Now, do you have any idea of your following, the proportion of people who are just interested in you as a person versus following your advice for tips for studying and things like that? Do you reckon it's changed over time? Do you feel like a different group of people, there's a different demand for your videos now, do you think?
I think the same group of people who were following me at the beginning, or the same types of that group of people, have stayed, but then other groups of people have been added onto that. So I believe, I have no evidence of this, but I believe that the different types of videos that I upload, different subsets of my subscribers will watch. So some people are only subscribed to me for study with me videos, and then some people are only subscribed to me because they're interested in strict education and like how to be productive and how to improve their grades. Then other people are following me just because they care about watching me and Alexia like have a holiday in Greece. So I think that there's like different subsets that follow me. That's my theory.
There's no way you can do some statistical analysis of the fan base.
No, I reckon you could, because the analytics are pretty good these days. And like you can see, like, well, you wouldn't be able to find out who's who, but you can find out what percentage of your subscribers are probably related to like, or come for certain content, in terms of like spikes with certain videos. So that'd actually be quite an interesting analysis to break down sometime in the future.
There's a lot of data. There's a lot of data to look through. And I think if someone knows what they're looking for, they can really pick out what's important.
Is there anything that's really surprised you about looking through the data? Like, wow, I didn't realize that proportion of people. I remember you telling me the countries where your viewers are most from and stuff.
Yeah. I think the top 5 countries are India, and then UK, Canada, US, and then I think Germany, but don't quote me on the last one. But those 4 ones, somewhere in the top 4, those ones like will keep switching between first, second, third, and fourth.
Damn.
Yeah,
it's interesting. Were you surprised by any of those, or?
I was, if I'm honest. I don't know why I was surprised. I just assumed most people watching my videos would be applying, or like from the UK applying to UK universities, or from Canada applying to Canadian universities. Yeah. But of course, it makes sense. There's plenty of international students applying to UK universities for medicine.
And it ties into a burning question that I think I have asked you before in the kitchen. And it's the idea that as you get certain sort of bases of followers, I think that's super interesting. The idea that, do you feel like there's a pressure over time to sort of change your content and steer your content in a certain way to please those people who enjoy your videos?
Absolutely. There's immense pressure from an analytics viewpoint, from like a views and a growth viewpoint. Yeah, there's immense pressure, because when you upload a video that doesn't quote unquote perform as well as you want it to, or like in line with previous videos you've uploaded, like you'll really notice. Like views that week will slow down, subscriber growth will slow down. And I know Ali Abdal talks about this all the time, but when you open the YouTube Analytics app, the very first thing that you see is what rank your most recent video is compared to the previous 10. So it'll tell you your current video is ranked at number 4 out of 10 or number 10 out of 10. And that 10 out of 10 feeling is like brutal.
Yeah.
Even though like when I think about it logically, I'm like, this really shouldn't affect me from a mental point of view. But it does. I'd be lying if I said it doesn't.
Imagine that on Instagram or something like that. How toxic that would be.
Exactly.
It's a bit unfair almost on creators.
It is. I think it's quite harsh, and hopefully they change that soon, because it's not very nice. But back to what you were saying about the pressure. So yeah, like when you upload, when I upload like a medical school vlog and I get a really good reaction, it gets recommended by YouTube. It gets recommended by YouTube, and you get lots of new viewers, new people subscribing. You get like incentive to keep creating those types of videos. And vice versa, when you make a video that maybe you really enjoyed but didn't do so well, you get de-incentivized from making that content again.
And then I guess if you've got any particular interest that you have, maybe outside of the YouTube channel. So I can imagine for me, if I were in your position, and so for example, I like languages, that would almost make me a little bit scared of bringing in new things, because you don't know how the reaction is going to be. And that's a tough thing about, you want to stay authentic, and you want to be true to yourself, but then balancing that against,
That's something really common that I've heard from, sorry, Savannah, I saw you wanted to say something there. Sorry if I interrupted you.
No, carry on.
What do I want to say? Yeah, that's a common complaint that I've heard, that like people feel like they can't branch out because their audience won't like those types of videos. And I think that's really sad. It's like, it sucks, like the whole point you're making videos, it's like an expression of your creativity, something that you want to do, something that you're interested in. And it would suck to sort of feel pigeonholed in that sense.
Do you see yourself pivoting out of the niche you're currently in? So I guess you started strictly on med school, UCAT, that kind of stuff. And then that kind of leans itself very nicely into the productivity sphere, because say a lot of the stuff about time management, studying a lot and whatnot is all kind of related to the whole productivity kind of area, and lifestyle design, that kind of stuff. And I've seen a lot of kind of say med school or, university YouTubers kind of go that way, especially once they leave university. Do you see yourself doing something like that? Because I don't know, if I was in your position, I'd feel a bit awkward trying to make med school related videos when I'm not in med school anymore. So I guess you could make like say doctor videos, like day in the life in the doctor rather than a medical student. But do you see yourself maybe dying out of that kind of phase and going into something else even outside of productivity?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. And like how I like to think about that is, I'm happy to pivot, and I'm not scared to pivot into any area of like my life that I'm interested in, right? So if I'm interested in productivity, then I'll make videos about productivity. Like that's something that I think about all the time now in my day-to-day life. So like making a video about it is something that like comes a bit naturally. It's like things that I do anyway. I just want to put into like a presentable form. So yeah, I'm happy to pivot into like any area that I'm interested in. And if I'm a doctor and I'm enjoying making videos about being a doctor, then that's what I'm going to do. If I enjoy making videos about traveling, then that's what I'm going to do. I'm not particularly worried about it. I'm not stressed about it, because if I don't do that, then I'm not going to enjoy making these videos. Like the amount of time and effort that goes into making a video is not worth it if I'm not enjoying the process, if I'm not having fun. So I think that's the number one thing, like keep doing things I actually enjoy. But
then say going back to the thing with your analytics and your video rankings and stuff, and say if you are trying to do that new thing that you're into, but it's just not performing, how do you think you kind of handle those emotions at that point, in terms of like, should I really just continue doing this just because I want to, but it's just it could potentially, say, kill your channel in the long term or something? Because I've seen that happen to some people, say the OGs back in the day, where they started doing other things, and then their channel just died off because it wasn't what their whole subscriber base was about.
I mean, it could happen. You know, it could happen quite easily, right? Like, people are very quick to sort of jump on and off of things these days. And like, one thing that's very attractive and popular now can die out really, really quickly without you even noticing. So it could happen. I'm honestly just trying to have fun while my channel's like doing well at the time, and just go there and see where it takes me. Like, if a video doesn't perform well, yes, I will be like upset about it during that day, but I just try and put it behind me. And like, there are plenty of videos that I put out knowing full well that they're not going to do well. Like that coffee video. When I uploaded it, I knew, I was like, nobody wants to watch me talk about coffee, right? But I just happened to be interested in making a video about coffee that week. So yeah, it just like, it depends. I see how it goes.
And then that ties into the idea of the measure of success with having analytics and numbers. It can be easy to get obsessed with those numbers. That's an obvious measure of success with a channel, like looking at the views, the subscribers. But are there any other measures of success that you base on your channel? Is it, even if it's just pride in the videos, how do you measure the success of your channel?
That's deep. That's a good one. I think first and foremost, like, a lot of the time when I'm editing a video, I'm usually really proud of the video. I'm like, yes, like that cut was really good, or like this music sequence is great. I hype my videos up a lot in myself, because I'm proud of what I'm making. And so I think that's the first most important thing. Like, if it passes that test, if I'm actually really proud of what I did, like, that is very successful for me, right? And then comments is a great one, because it's not views, it's not subscribers, it's not like a number. It's some actual qualitative feedback. Yeah. And like, good comments really make my day. You know, someone who notices like an edit that I made and they comment on it, I'm like, yes, like someone realized how much work and effort went into that, and like someone appreciated it. And then just anyone saying like, I found this very useful, or like DMs on Instagram, emails. I get emails from people's parents being like, oh, like, I watch your videos to like learn about medical school, or my son watches your videos, my daughter, whatever. Like, that is, what more success could I ask for? Like, you know, somebody else finding genuine value in the content I'm making. Yeah, that's the best.
Sorry, just as a side note, my brother watched like all of your UCAT videos, basically. He said that it was probably the number one factor in actually being able to perform well in the UCAT.
I mean, like, so there you go. Like,
it works.
That's amazing. Like, that's so cool. Like, when I was studying for the UCAT, if I had watched someone's videos and I was like, wow, that's so helpful, and that helped me succeed in the UCAT, like, how amazing of a feeling is that, you know?
And I think that's with the nature of your channel, I think that's a really nice success to have, is not just in the numbers, but also the fact that the content is useful and it definitely helps a lot of people's lives. And I think that's a big reward as well. Touch wood. I know that you do like the touch wood.
I touch wood a lot, yeah.
Just keep the good momentum. And there's another thing I wanted to ask on that vein. So I think it's fair to say that in any success in life, there's an element of fortune, whether that be timing or a bit of inspiration or conversation you've had with someone. With your channel, do you think where would you say the element of fortune lies? Was it in the timing? Did you come into this field at a really good time in YouTube, or were you lucky to, what do you think? Do you think there's any fortune?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the short answer to that question. Like luck most definitely plays a role. But I really believe in like increasing your chances of being lucky, in the sense that, like, if I make one video a week for, I don't want to say 10 years, that's too long, but if I make one video a week for like 3 years, at some point, some number of people are bound to see that video, right? And the more content you produce, the more things you put out there, the more likely it is to somehow catch onto one platform's algorithm, or someone watches it and shares it with a friend or a family member or whatever. So I really, really, really believe in like hard work and dedication and consistency. I think that's really, really important in anything that you do. And that increases your chances of success, increases your chances of getting lucky or being lucky. Having said that, I think, for example, like one of the first videos that did really well on my channel, I think it was a mixture of like being lucky, in the sense that at that time, more people were searching for medical school vlogs or exam revision tips or whatever. And then when they watched my video, they found the editing like good, or they liked my personality or my talking or whatever. And those two things combined led to its success.
So you kind of mentioned that it was just like putting out work, and then you're kind of leveraging the luck, or you were in a position to be able to kind of leverage the luck at that particular time. So would you say that's kind of the, say, key to kind of unlocking that kind of momentum, or just luck in a sense?
So the thing is, like, the week where that video started to do very well, and like, I think I can say that that video went viral. It had something like 300,000 views in a month and a bit, which is like insane. And so, yeah, the thing is, like, I was going to make a video that week regardless. I was going to make a video the week before and the week after, regardless of how that video performed. And so it just so happened that that video happened to like hit different with the YouTube algorithm, or connected differently with the people watching, or something like that, you know?
And then in terms of an end goal with the channel, you've got this very good momentum right now. As far as I understand it, it's growing quick. I remember, when did you hit 500,000?
Maybe a month and a half ago.
And you've passed 600,000. So now on the graph, on the time versus subscribers graph,
you're on that kind of steep part of the graph. Yeah.
The channel's like, it's over the lockdown period, it did some insane numbers, like things like I couldn't even have dreamt of before, you know? I remember the first month where I did 1 million views in 1 month. I was like, oh my God, like how is that even possible? You know, 1 million in 1 month, that's insane. And then the next month I did 1 million in 1 week. And I was like, how is that happening? And this ties back to the analytics conversation we had before, that the bar that you're setting for yourself never stops going up. Every time you break a new record, or you break a new something, like X number of views in Y number of time, that sets a new bar. And so you're always trying to reach that bar. You're always trying to go higher, higher, higher. And that's like part of the stress that comes from analytics. And it's why I try not to check it that much at all now. Because it's just like, yeah, it's a bit stressful. It's stressful.
And then in terms of, we're saying the bar gets higher and you expect more of yourself. Compared to when the channel started, maybe in some ways you're a bit of a different person now, because you're having to maybe function at a higher level, you know, maintain this channel to a good level, keep going with your med school, and naturally it's going to change a person in some ways. Do you notice any changes to your personality, or in terms of your self-perception, has that changed over time since you started the channel?
Okay, wait, 2 things there. Personality and self-perception. Personality, I really feel like I'm the same. I honestly do. I think like my friends who've known me for a long time are a better judge of that. Because, you know, sometimes you're so close to the thing that you can't see from the outside. But yeah, I really like to think I'm the exact same person. Like, I've matured like anyone else would mature in the last 3 years. Like, I've grown like anyone else would grow. But yeah, I really like to think that like my personality hasn't changed, who I am hasn't changed. And my self-perception, you know, it's weird. Like, I was saying, when I read those comments and I get these emails, I can't relate. I can't put myself in the shoes of the person who they're talking about. They're saying like, Kharma Medic, oh my God, you've changed my life. You've helped me get into med school. My son is getting through his chemotherapy because of you, like all these types of things. And I'm like, who are they talking about? Like, who is that person? I can't put myself in those shoes. I'm like, I'm just a dude going to med school, you know? Like, genuinely, this sounds really like cliche and whatever, but like, I'm yet to reach that point where I'm like, there's this person called Kharma Medic in a bunch of people's eyes who is like super productive and like is always doing really well and has this very perfect, happy life that people like genuinely look up to. I'm like, who is this person? Like, honestly, it's hard to think of that as like something that exists out there.
So you can see this is a question I wanted to ask you from the start. And actually, when I first met you a few weeks ago, I was curious to know. It's like, to the internet, you're Kharma Medic. And so I'm wondering, you know, when you turn on the camera, do you become Kharma Medic? And, you know, do you think when the camera goes off, do you still feel like that's you all the time? Or do you feel like it's almost an extension of your personality, if that makes sense? It's an abstract sort of concept, but yeah, you know, people's perceptions of you when they walk up to you on the street, maybe if that's happened, you know, in London, they go, can I have a photo with you? Do you feel like you have to, if you're in a certain mood, do you have to, you know, become Kharma Medic in a moment? And
That's a good question. Like, yeah, when people run into me in the street, I continue being the exact same person. However, with the caveat that I know that these people are expecting like this person who is Kharma Medic, this
Yeah.
thing that is Kharma Medic, right? But all that means is that like, I mean, like the thing is like, I was about to say all that means is that like I smile and I make conversation, but I would do that anyway. I would have done that anyway. When I turn on the camera, I'm just like if I was going to write an essay, I would sit down on my computer, okay? And instead of turning on the camera, I would place my hands on the keyboard and then I would begin writing. It's the exact same feeling to me, you know? It's just a continuation of whatever it is that I'm doing. It's like, it's a project that I'm working on. It definitely doesn't feel like a role, doesn't feel like a persona. And like, if you've seen any of my videos, like hopefully you feel like I'm the same exact person in real life. But the part that I can't relate to is this huge success, this idea of someone with 600,000 subscribers, like someone that people look up to. Like that's what I can't seem to put myself in the shoes of. It just seems so foreign.
Because I think it's interesting. You weren't born into that. You know, you weren't born as Kharma Medic.
Yeah, no, of course not.
You know, before you even got into medical school, like calling yourself Kharma Medic might be like a bit
cringy or like strange. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've kind of grown into this person now, and I think naturally you will, having this YouTube channel, get more confident and you know, have that extension of your personality, but at the same time, you can't be expected to be like that all the time. Although I think it is nice that, you know, speaking with you in the kitchen and stuff, it feels like I'm speaking to the same person who I watch, you know, in your videos when you're talking in your videos. And tying into that question before about self-perception and confidence, do you think you've learned anything about yourself in particular, like a particular strength that you think you've got from starting these videos? If you met yourself 3 years ago compared to now, in what way do you think you've improved from having this channel? Because it must help you. It gives you motivation to keep going, to keep getting better, because you've got these people, you know, you can't just stop studying and stop doing those, you know, studying.
Study with me videos.
Yeah, study with me, the live videos and stuff. Yeah.
I feel like I've always been someone who's focused on like working hard, being really productive, being very disciplined or whatever. But this channel has sort of pushed that to the limit in a sense for me. I feel like I'm juggling as many things as I can at the moment. But honestly, more than some big strength that I've gained, I've realized that like I definitely can't do public speaking.
Really?
I just like, even like talking to you guys now, right? Like anytime I talk about something like serious or I talk for an extended period of time, like I said, like I forget how to breathe properly. So I just like, I'll realize myself like out of breath and I'm like, okay, let's start again. And like, yeah, like I get like shaky and my body reacts in a way as if I'm like really, really stressed or really nervous, even though I'm not in my head, but like my body reacts in that way, which is like really annoying, especially in interviews. And that's something that I talk about in my medicine interviews, actually, videos about medicine interviews. But anyway, so yeah, I definitely can't do public speaking. Like I know that for a fact. That has been like hammered home in this process of making YouTube videos.
And wait, did you say you've experienced that whilst like recording videos as well? Like just having, when you're just sat there recording? Because I guess it's a type of speaking, but yeah, like have you like ever felt that?
Definitely at the beginning. And by beginning, I mean like the first, I don't know, maybe like 20, 25 videos or something like that. Like when I was talking to the camera, I felt like I was talking to like a bunch of people in the room. And that is like stressful, you know? And then slowly over time, the camera became like I was talking to a friend. And then it becomes a lot easier to talk to the camera. And so that hurdle I got over towards the beginning, like let's say 20 videos or so. But then vlogging in public was also a similar experience. It takes a while to get over that hurdle. And I always thought that if I had more subscribers, if I had more views, I would feel more justified in talking to a camera in public. But that's not what helped me at all. What helped me with vlogging in public was the same thing that helps me with anything else that I'm not good at, which is just doing it over and over again and gaining that exposure, gaining that like practice. So yeah, so I definitely did feel nervous towards the beginning. And I still feel nervous when I vlog in public. It's like, it's a not normal like thing to do, you know? It's like something you don't see too often. And so it definitely feels like there's a lot of eyes on you, even though there probably isn't.
Have you ever considered taking YouTube full time, or have you ever thought about it, or like do something similar to say like Ali Abdal, who has just taken a whole hiatus from medicine, at least for the next period of time? Have you ever thought about doing something like that?
No, I never have, because like my life goal has always been to become a doctor. and that is still my life goal right now, and it's still my number one priority. And I just feel like I can do YouTube on the side at the same time. And so I haven't really thought about taking it full time. Like my big career aspirations it's not to be a YouTuber. I'm not saying that being a YouTuber is a bad thing. I think it's an amazing job. It's an amazing lifestyle to lead. But what I want to do is be a doctor. That's like the first and foremost thing in my life. And then I have all my extracurriculars and my hobbies and my activities and whatever. And YouTube is one of those.
And you've recently done the USMLE, which I'm assuming was quite the experience.
Yeah, definitely.
What's the plan, say, in terms of your medical career? Do you plan on, well, if you took the USMLE, I'm assuming you at least have some kind of plan on going to the US and practicing there. You plan on just practicing like normal, or what kind of specialty do you think you'd want to go into?
So I took the USMLE not particularly because I was dead set on going to the United States for my residency. I took it because over the course of 2 university degrees, one thing that has like stayed constant is the realization that you just don't know what's going to happen in a year from now. Like I've moved countries like 2-3 times. I've had to make completely new friend groups everywhere I've gone. I've adapted to new cultures, like this and that. And I feel like having the ability, if I wanted to go practice medicine in a different country is really, really powerful, and is something that I might want to do in the future. And so that's why I took the USMLE. And that's why I'm going to do my F1 and my F2 here. So that should I choose to stay here, should I choose to go, I have the option. I want to have options. I hate the idea that like I'm on this path that I have to complete, that there's no like caveat around it or no detour.
That's the beautiful thing about the generation we live in. There is so much freedom to just sort of explore avenues that you want to explore that just wouldn't have been there 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And it ties into maybe something a bit outside of your career and more an opinion on something that Saban and I have a slightly different approach to how we like to organize our time and organize our lifestyles. And I wanted to know what you think about how do you go about learning something for the first time, or getting into a new interest, or even organizing your studies? What's your preferred way of doing it? Do you like to be very by the book? The reason why I'm asking this as well is because we're talking about your future. You like to have that freedom, but at the same time, I think it's always important for someone to have a direction that they're working towards. Like for me, it was always, I knew from when I was about 12 or 13 that I wanted to do cardiology with children. So it helped me make all of my career decisions from that very point. In all interviews from then on. For you, are you the same? Do you have like a specific goal when you start something new and you just work towards it?
I think if I can have a specific goal, for example, if I knew what specialty I wanted to do, I think that would be amazing, because I would know where my end goal is, and then I would figure out the best way backwards from that end goal to where I am now. But more often than not, I don't have that end goal. Like right now, I don't know what specialty I want to go into. And I think it's infinitely more important to just throw yourself into whatever it is that you're trying to learn or whatever it is you're trying to do than it is to make sure that you have the perfect goal set out and work towards that. Because going back to what I said before, like you just don't know what's going to happen. And like for someone who's dead set on a specialty, that's really good. That's really great. But for a lot of people, they choose a specialty, they change their mind, and they choose another specialty, they change their mind. And I think that's fine. I think we should go through that process because that helps you solidify what you want to know. But I think the important thing is that along the way, you try as much as you can and you do as much as you can, expose yourself to as much as you can. So going back to like organizing your studies, for anything that I have to do, like study for an exam or write an essay or whatever, I guess that has a pretty clear end goal. Like on this date, your thing has to be due. But I always just start immediately. Whatever's in my head, I throw it down onto paper. If I know that the exam's covering cardiology, I'll start reading cardiology chapter 1. And then I'll figure everything else out as I go along. I don't like to, from the very beginning, this is
it's a difficult one.
It's like what I'm saying is true, but applies to certain things. And I'm trying to figure out what is the differentiating factor between when I do that and when I don't. I think if I can set out a plan, I like to set out a plan. But if I can't, I will just throw myself into it. And there's like no in the middle. There's no like wait till I figure out a better plan type of thing. I'd rather just get started and figure it out as I go along. But if I know enough about what I'm doing, then I'd rather set a plan, if that makes sense. And
do you think once you get your head into something, so something, I think Saban is similar to me in this respect. If I'm into, for example, like in the last few months, I've been severely obsessed with Mandarin. and then it may not be helping my medical career really,
Okay.
but I can't stop myself from doing it, and I'm just doing it all the time, constantly. Do you find that you have that sort of trait? Because I find that in doing that, I can't really be too organized about it, because I'm just wanting to do it all the time. So I don't want to factor it in, you know, tomorrow I'm going to do 4 hours of it, because I want to do it for as many minutes as possible. If you are preparing for an exam or something, would you be similar in that respect? You know, do you schedule your time out for the studying, or are you just constantly doing it, if that makes sense?
Oh, no, like studying, I schedule my time.
And do you enjoy the studying?
Yeah. I really enjoy studying. I really enjoy learning. But then, for example, for the USMLE Step 1, like studying and learning every single day for 4 months in a row, like, no, I don't enjoy that. But like, there's a distinction there, like that needs to be clear, because I commented on another medical student's vlog the other day saying, I really like this vlog, like balance in medical school is key. And I got a bunch of replies saying, this is coming from the guy who just studies all day. And I was like, whoa. That's kind of not who I am at all. Like, when I have an exam, you bet I'm going to be studying all day. But who I am as a person, like, no, that's not me at all. And there was sort of this like discrepancy between who I know I am and who I am in real life, and the perception that people have of me because of those videos where I study 10 hours in a single setting, 8 hours in a single setting, whatever. But I just felt like making that video that weekend, you know, like I was studying that long.
But that must be natural, right? People extrapolate perceptions of you based off the content. They don't know all the things about you. That must get frustrating.
Yeah, I try not to let it bother me too much. And it doesn't bother me too much because I feel very lucky in the sense that, thanks for knocking wood as well. Saban, you didn't see, but I knocked wood and then Dan knocked wood as well. Yeah, I feel very lucky in that I'm really confident with who I am as a person. I like myself, which is like, it sounds silly, but like, I think it's really, really important that you actually like who you are as a person. Where was I going with this?
And dealing with the people who sort of have an incorrect perception of you.
So if people have an incorrect perception of me, I'm like, okay, like I can explain once, maybe twice, like why I think that that's not the case. But if they don't believe that, if they don't see that, like that's okay. They're entitled to their own opinion. Like I'm entitled to my own, and I'm happy with who I am moving forward, you know?
And I think that's where you have to have a fairly thick skin, because that's something that would bother me. I thought about it after we spoke at one time in the kitchen, thinking, how would I feel having a channel where there are so many people about me, where people can extrapolate and say things about me that aren't necessarily true, or have a perception which is wrong. And I would want to correct every single person and just say, actually, that's not entirely correct. But you can't do that. You just have to accept that some people are going to have this opinion of you, which isn't right. And I mean, the other thing about it is the internet is so, once you put something out there, it's there for the world to see. So every video, you must have to be careful in what you're saying to make sure that people don't come back 2 years later and say, well, you said this at that point.
For sure. Yeah. I try not to be too careful in that sense, because if I think about like, how is this going to be viewed in 2 years from now? I feel like I wouldn't say anything. But at the same time, like when on my Instagram, I had like 500 followers or 1,000 followers, I would upload on a story, like whatever the hell I wanted, whatever I felt like that day. But now I do think twice. Like I'll think 3 times before I post something. Because I know a lot more people are going to see it, and some people might take offense to it, some people might not. Even if I think that it should be there, even if people take offense, like it's something to consider, because I don't want to cause offense to anyone, right? Even if I believe I should be able to say this, or I should be able to do this, or whatever. So yeah, I definitely think more about what I post now and what I say.
Is there any video that you've made, or something you've said in the past that you think is a mistake at this point, or that you've sort of moved on from, if that makes sense? Or any regret you have in, like, maybe even it's just the nature of your content. You wish that you went down a certain rabbit hole sooner, or capitalized on something, like a missed opportunity.
A missed opportunity? Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
Oh, spill the beans.
So missed. So missed. About
going on this podcast sooner. Sorry.
Yeah, you should put this at the beginning as the like teaser for the podcast. Towards the beginning of my time on YouTube, I think maybe like 3 months in, I decided to make a video about why I think Instagram is bad, why I think it's bad for children, teenagers' mental health, why personally I felt that Instagram was having a negative effect on my life, and why I decided to unfollow absolutely everyone who I knew except for like 100 people. I went from following like 500 people to 100. And I made this video and it was 10 minutes long. And I was iffy. I was iffy about posting it because it was a video where for the first time I was going to be expressing my opinions as opposed to teaching someone something or giving like advice about learning something. And so I thought about it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm not going to upload it.
Even at that point, so you didn't end up uploading it?
It's never seen the light of day.
Ooh.
And then a couple of days later, Casey Neistat posted a video about why he thinks Instagram is not good for teenagers and why he's deleting Instagram. And I'm the biggest Casey Neistat fan.
I really like Casey.
His vlogging style, his editing style is a huge influence on mine. And if you watch
I think everyone's had an obsession with him.
Yeah, he's incredible. He's absolutely incredible. And that video of his blew up. It blew up so much. And I just knew, had I uploaded it and I had a similar title, my video would also gain a lot of traction.
But you couldn't do that then. No. You couldn't do that the next day. Why I think Instagram is bad for mental health.
I could have. Maybe I could have. But I think I just still couldn't get over that hurdle of like, I felt like I didn't want to be expressing my own opinions on this topic in a public forum. I didn't feel comfortable enough, I guess, at the time.
I think because something that worries me as well about the internet, especially if you have a big following, is we're so young, in our early to mid 20s. We're still learning so much. So I really am trying to learn more about the world. It sounds very cringy probably, but I really am. And I think it's going to be another 10 or 15 years of learning before I can really set my opinions, because I have opinions now already. For example, I have opinions about China, or I have opinions about Russia, but I'm too young to have those opinions solidified yet. And I don't want to come back to those opinions in the future, having shared them and then realizing I was completely wrong. It's a really dangerous thing to do. And any opinion you do share online is going to divide people. So any video you make, again, I think you can be quite diplomatic in the nature of your content. But if you want to make a video about an opinion on productivity, there will be people who will get irritated by it or who will be offended by it. And I think that's where it's really interesting. You having to think, how much am I going to share here? Because, how many people are going to dislike this content? So with your video about Instagram, I guess the reason why you didn't upload it maybe was because you weren't sure how people would respond. Was that right? Or
yeah, I mean, at the time, like part of it as well was like, some of my friends might see this who I have just unfollowed, and I was like, I don't want to like be rude. I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be harsh. Like that was also part of it. I guess there were just a lot of reasons why I didn't upload that video in the end. But changing your opinions moving forward is a very real thing. And that's why I'm very happy that I didn't start putting things about myself online when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
Because my God, my views have changed so much since then. And I've become I've come to understand topics so much better than I thought were black and white before. And I would hate to have said something back then that was not sensitive or offensive to someone, just because I hadn't like thought it through properly. I hadn't grown up, I hadn't matured enough to like understand it well. I like to think that now, yes, my opinions might change in the future, but since I'm an adult, I won't do or say anything that's too outrageous. I like to think that. I hope that never happens. But yeah, I agree with you. Definitely something to look out for.
And then Saban, sorry, I interrupted you.
I was going to ask, do you have like some kind of filter mechanism that you have in place as to whether you think you should upload something or not? Just because I'm assuming as your following grows, you're probably more aware of what you're going to say, especially if it's your opinion, is going to be seen by more people. So it could potentially influence more people. Yeah. Do you have some kind of filter mechanism, like, or even if it's just a gut feeling? Did you have like a gut feeling whilst making that Instagram video, like, maybe I shouldn't? Or was that just kind of like thinking after the fact?
Yeah, it was definitely the gut feeling while editing the video. Like while editing the video, I got the sense that like, maybe I don't want to put this out. And then I sort of analyzed it, quote unquote, rationally and decided not to put it out. But I will say that is the only video that I haven't uploaded that is filmed and recorded and ready to go, but I chose not to upload. It hasn't happened since. And I mean, a part of that is because I've gotten better at editing out things that I think might not be received well on the internet. And those types of things include any sort of like medical advice. I mean, I would never give medical advice anyway in a video, but if something sounds like it could be like medical advice in some way, it's getting cut out. Even if I'm like teaching a medical topic, like I would have to be 100% sure in what I'm saying before I would put it out on the internet, you know? Because I feel like there will be people who like pick holes in there or say like, actually, no, that's not true or whatever. And like, I just don't want to get into that.
And earlier we were establishing that almost anything you do will offend some people in a certain way, or just be against how they perceive the world. Is there anything that any video or any viewpoint that surprised you in terms of a negative response that you didn't expect people to get annoyed by it?
Yes. I during the beginning of lockdown, I thought I was going to be both smart and helpful by making a video about how to wash your hands so that people could wash their hands properly and prevent the spread of coronavirus.
It's quite a reasonable thing to do.
I was like, I'm a good guy. Like, I can teach people how to wash their hands. And at the same time, I'm a smart guy. And lockdown's happening. Like, Google searches about the pandemic and washing hands are up.
Got the Oski station.
This is perfect,
the hand washing station with the Oskis.
Exactly that. So I made the video. I put it up. And that video has the worst response that I've ever gotten out of any video on my channel.
Did you do anything in it?
Do you guys want to take a guess why?
I don't know.
It's a video about me washing my hands.
Uncontroversial thing.
I'm just washing my hands and teaching the 5 moments of hand washing.
Is it someone saying that they don't think washing hands? Is it like anti-COVID people?
No. It's a perfectly reasonable reason to have outrage about my video. Believe it or not.
I don't know. I can't imagine what you did wrong in making a hand washing video. But out of all the videos you've done, people would get really irritated
about that one. So what I did was, while I was washing my hands for 30 seconds, I left the tap running. And I got so much backlash.
Whoa.
So much backlash.
Whoa.
I mean, I could have never dreamed it. I
That's
could have
the
never
thing.
seen that coming.
That's the thing. You could get like you can have people turn on you for something that you're not aware of, and that's what I would find. That's why I keep going back to it with questions that I ask you. Is like you having to be so careful. Is there something in the background, for example, that people are going to pick up on, or people start picking holes in your lifestyle and expecting you to live to a higher standard than everyone else just because of your following, because people look up to you. But then that surely actually having an influence on your personality. So you actually living to a higher level. When I say that, you know what I mean? Like being more cautious in the way you live your life because of that following. So the following actually driving how you live your life because of expectation and stuff. It's really interesting. And surely every video you make, you have to be thinking, have I done the same thing as the hand washing video? Have I done something here? Just said something very offhand that suddenly people are going to pick out.
I honestly don't think about it now, because in the editing process, I'll pick up like almost anything that I think might remotely cause offense. Like I don't want to cause offense to anyone in my real life, for sure. Like I hope I haven't caused any offense to anyone I've spoken to in real life, let alone in a YouTube video where I can actually edit my like words, So yeah, I definitely err on the side of caution, let's say. But something that has sort of infiltrated how I act in real life that you were just mentioning now is when I walk around on the street, I get recognized now by people. And it's not like it's happened one-off now and like it hasn't happened again. Like when my girlfriend was visiting from Greece last month, we went out 5 days in a row. Not last month. I don't remember when. But anyway, back when shops were still open. Because
that's people turning on you.
So for example, right there, if I was talking to my friend in the kitchen, I would have been like a month ago. And it would be in my head like, maybe it was a month and a half, but who cares? But now I'm like, oh wait, I should actually get the timeline right, because if I say I was out during lockdown, people might take offense to that, and they should.
So Saban, cut out this bit now. We'll get some controversy.
No, don't cut it out. Like I know that I was out at the right time. I'm not worried about that. It's just about like clarifying and being more deliberate with what I say. Anyway, so I was out when the shops were open because I was doing my yearly shopping that I was telling you about. My girlfriend helps me buy my clothes. And every single day that we went out, I was recognized. Every single day. Oh. And to think that someone standing across from me has so much more knowledge about who I am as a person, and I know nothing about them, is very scary to me. And feeling like if someone was to rub me the wrong way in public, like cut in front of me in line, okay, I would not stand for that. I think that's not okay, and I would let them know, okay? Now, let's say that person watches my videos, and I get into a heated conversation with them, okay? that scares me, man.
Yeah.
Like someone who watches my videos has seen me
Sure.
being angry and frustrated in a public setting. That's weird. That scares me. Even though I feel like I would be fully in the right with everything I said, like I wouldn't do anything disrespectful. I wouldn't do anything mean. I wouldn't swear at anyone or whatever. But I would stand my ground. But I don't know. It feels weird that someone might see that, who knows my videos, who watches me. It's a weird one. It's a weird one.
Because that's you being yourself, but then they are perceiving that to be Kharma Medic, you know, like Kharma Medic being rude or
yeah, exactly, which is weird. And like
it takes the choice away from you, because you can't just choose when you are Kharma Medic and when you're just being yourself, because other people don't see it that way. They can't differentiate between the two. You know, you're not just because you don't have a camera in front of you, they're expecting you to be a certain way,
be the same,
and you have to be so careful because of that. And if it keeps growing, you know, I'll touch wood, if you keep growing in the subscribers, that's not going to slow down. That's probably going to speed up more. And you can expect every time you go out to central London, people are going to stop you. Then it's like how you're dressed, because people are going to photograph it. And I can imagine it's actually a whole new set of things in your personality that you have to incorporate that 2 or 3 years ago just weren't a factor.
Yeah, but it's just like, the thing is, like, I'm not worried about running into anyone in public, because I'm not worried about me doing something bad in public. No. Like, I know who I am. I'm going to be fine, right? But like, inevitably something is going to happen. I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to do something that I shouldn't have. I'm going to say something that I shouldn't have. It's only human. It's only normal. And I just, like, I hate the idea that could be amplified to an online audience. And that's scary. Because of the fact that I have an online audience, I might not get a second chance. You know, if I was to do something super outrageous and Kings was to know about it, for example, Kings has no choice. Yeah. Like, when the outrage starts and people start saying, hey, this person goes to your uni, they have no choice. And I hate that feeling. It's like, no. And imagine, like, all these years where I've been doing, quote unquote, like, completely benign, like, content and things that hopefully are helpful and valuable to other people. And then if I was to make a mistake or say something that I shouldn't have, for that to have, like, such drastic negative effects on me, like, that's scary. That's really scary.
That's why I quite like how you've done it, in the sense that, and probably because your channel grew organically, it just grew. You were making your own content and you were just basically turning on the camera and being yourself, just talking about things you like. And what I was saying before about you when the camera off and when the camera on isn't different. So at least I think it would be worse for people who have almost like a different persona when they're recording, because then when someone comes up to them in public,
it would be hard to switch.
They have to do that all the time, you know, or people who are famous for one reason or one video or something like that. At least with you, people know you as the medical student who shares advice and productivity and stuff. And that is really who you are.
And yeah, like, a big part of that's helpful is, like, what my online content is about is something that is good. It's like, it's something that is positive.
Such a good thing,
imagine my online presence was about being controversial or, like, doing something like that offends people. Like,
you'd be scared.
I'd be so scared.
People do that.
Like, yeah, people do that. And
like the prank videos and stuff.
For example, I mean, I don't think I would ever put myself online in that fashion anyway. Well, because I'm not that type of person. But if I was that type of person, I wouldn't, because I feel like that'd be a dumb thing to do. But yeah, it's scary that people can know so much about me through watching my videos.
What normally happens when someone comes up to you? Could you take me through it? Because I have to admit, sadly for me, no one's gone up to me like, oh, Dan Redfern. What happens?
It's like, it's been so positive every time. And, like, I genuinely have nothing bad to say. And I guess all these, like, worries and fears that I have, I've never actually experienced them, but I'm worried that they might happen. What usually happens is I'm just walking around and I just hear, oh my God, Kharma Medic.
And you're like, oh, that's me.
And I'm like, oh yeah, first of all, there's a moment of realization, like, oh, this person's referring to me. And then I'll turn around and someone's like really, really excited to, like, come say hi to me and come talk to me. And I'm just like, hi, hello, like, what's your name? Like, I ask them some questions. We have a brief conversation. And then I'm happy to take a photo with absolutely anyone. But I'll never offer it. I'll never say it, because that's just kind of weird, you know? But if someone asks, like, I'll always say yes. I've never said no. And the other day, I was walking around Southwark, and no joke, I'm not exaggerating, this group of 12 people, okay, 12. I walked by them, okay, and I've developed a sense now for when I think someone might recognize me, okay? It's just the way they look at you, the way it lingers a bit too long, like, something happens, and, like, I just know. And I was like, okay, maybe they recognize me. But again, it's not like I'm going to walk up to them and be like, hey, do you watch my videos? If they come up to me, like, they come up to me, right? So I thought maybe they recognized me, but I'm like, I could just be thinking that incorrectly. And I keep walking, and then before I know it, oh my God, Kharma Medic, Kharma Medic, oh my God, Kharma Medic.
The whole group?
The whole group. I turn around, and there's 3 girls running up to me with their phones out. No joke.
Filming you?
Like wanting to take a photo with me.
Okay.
And yeah, they just like start asking me questions, like, what are you doing here? Blah, blah, blah. I can't believe you're here. Your videos have helped me so much, like this, and that. And then we took a bunch of group photos. We like chatted for a bit. They were going to Hodgkin to watch like a movie or something. And yeah, it's just like surreal. It's surreal. It goes back to what I'm saying before. Like, I can't put myself in the shoes of this person who they're saying, oh my God, Kharma Medic. Who is that guy? It's like, it is an extension of me, and I don't feel like it's a different character or whatever, but I just find it hard that someone would look up to me in such a way. You know?
This I have to ask then,
Okay.
coming on from that. What about, because people know your career, basically, they know the stage you're at, which is in some ways quite a personal thing. They know what your job is, basically. When you're in the hospital, have you ever been recognized by a colleague, not someone in our year, but maybe one of the doctors or even a patient? Because obviously you're having to do your job there and help the patient. But that I can imagine as well for like, the celebrity doctors, that's something they have to deal with and they'll know how to deal with it. Have you thought about that? What will happen in those situations?
I most definitely have. I've been recognized by so many healthcare professionals, so many consultants, doctors, physios, nurses, pretty much everyone, which is crazy in itself. Like someone many years older than me watching or having seen my videos is crazy. And then begins the thoughts of like, what do these people think of me, right? Because if they watch my videos and they're like, oh, wow, this person is like helping medical students or whatever, that's great, okay? But if they watch these videos and they're like, who does this person think he is? Why is he sharing this content online? This person just looking for fame, this and that.
Yeah.
I would be devastated if someone thought that of me and I met them in real life. Like that would crush me, And I would hate for that to happen. And worse than that, I would hate for a patient to think that about me, right? To have a negative opinion of me before we even start a consultation, you know? I hope that never happens. I really do. I acknowledge that it's bound to happen, but I hope it never does.
In China, there's the concept of face, which is like you have different faces in different settings.
Okay.
And I find personally, when I'm in the hospital, I'm almost like a different person because you have to be, right? So when I was in the ED, I found it most strongly, or more strongly than ever before. I would open up the curtain, see the patient, close the curtain and start speaking with them. And I was just almost a different person than when I was speaking with the doctors, because you have to show that you have knowledge and that you're confident and stuff.
Really professional.
And what you're saying about consultants knowing who you are beforehand, or if a patient has a preconception of you, you don't have the choice of what face you're going to have.
Yes.
People know you already.
Yes. Because like when you work with your colleagues, like for all you know, your colleague could be someone who goes out and parties really hard on the weekend, takes all kinds of drugs, like does a bunch of things that they probably shouldn't be doing, and then shows up to work at 9 a.m. and does a fantastic job. Could easily happen. Probably happens all the time. And they would not have a negative opinion of that person because they just don't know.
Yeah.
But for me, for like, I remember when we did the Times article interview over the summer, the comments under that post were all older people talking about how these people aren't doctors, they're just seeking fame, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, imagine a patient thinks that of me and I walk in through the curtain. Like that would be crushing.
Yeah.
How would I move past that, And so, like I said, I hope it doesn't happen. But I mean, I think it's inevitable at some point that I'll run into somebody who knows me, who has a negative opinion of me. And I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what I would do.
I mean, in the hospitals so far, have you found that, or even outside of the hospital, the more popular you become, do you find that it affects the way you can trust people as well? Because do you think there are ever times that people are looking to, so you're saying people commenting, sorry, there's quite a disorganized train of ideas, but on your article, people were saying that, maybe these people are just seeking fame. What about people then who you meet now, the more well-known you become, wanting to jump on the back of you or wanting to use you? So how does that affect your trust in other people?
That's a good question. When I meet other people, I the assumption is always that this person does not know about my YouTube channel. And I think that's how it should be. I think it'd be very stupid to go the other way. And so until that person lets me know that they do watch my videos or whatever, I would never even think that they do. And so my trust would be how I would trust anybody else. Yeah, like I always think the best in people. Like my trust is pretty easy to gain, impossible to gain back if trust is broken, because I feel like I give it so easily. Like but I genuinely don't expect the worst in people, which I think isn't always the best. I think sometimes I give too much of the benefit of the doubt. But I guess it's something that like I'm learning to balance, if that makes sense.
Because I'm sure in some ways it's inevitable. And then as well, in other people's perceptions of you, it's really interesting you saying that people you meet sometimes will just not know about your YouTube channel. And that still probably happens a lot. We've had episodes on it before, Saban. I don't think it was released, the episode on like managing success and how you carry success. We've all had elements of success in our lives. And something that I've really had to learn about as I've got older is how I share that success with other people.
So when we spoke about this, I remember.
Did we?
Yeah, we were in the kitchen with Angela, and you were saying like how much you should show, how much you know in a conversation and things like that.
Yes.
But yeah, go on.
So managing. If you're speaking to someone and, for example, they don't know who you are, and you think that it might be useful for them to know who you are in the conversation, or I don't know. Do you ever feel like you have to let someone know who you are as like a caveat, or?
No, I can safely say that I've never brought it up myself. I've never once introduced the idea that I make YouTube videos on the internet and I have a large following, because I don't think that that's like part of the core of who I am. Like I am the person that I was before I started this hobby that is YouTube. And now it's just another hobby in my life. It just so happens that it's extremely successful and it's doing really, really well. And I'm very happy about that. But it's not like a defining feature of who I am. You know, who I am is someone who wants to become a doctor. That's what I think is like my defining feature. Not my defining feature, but something core to who I am. And yeah, I don't know. I've never brought it up first in a conversation.
And is there a way that you do it? Because again, this is something, for example, if family members are saying to me, are you at uni and stuff? Because I think people often are quite impressed by if you study medicine or if you go to a good uni and stuff. There's a way to do it, I guess. Is there a way that you would introduce it to someone who didn't know about it and they said to you, is there anything you do on the side? And you said, I don't know, I have a YouTube channel. Is there any way you'd go about that, or something you could tell to people how to share your success in a nice way that's not putting other people down, not making them feel uncomfortable, and is being humble, you know, while being realistic?
What I do, I guess, is I just...
That concludes part 1 of our conversation with Nasir Kharma. In part 2, we have a broader discussion on the nature of success, lifestyle design and productivity, as well as the different ways we can approach learning in all facets of life. Thank you for listening to this episode of Getting It.
If you enjoyed this episode,
or didn't,
then feel free to leave us a rating and review on the Apple Podcasts app or on the Apple Podcasts website.
We'd love to hear your thoughts, ideas, or questions about anything we discussed, so feel free to email us at thoughts@gettingit.co.uk.
You can also reach us on Twitter or Instagram at gettingit_pod.
You can find all the links in the show notes.